SiriusXM keeps truck drivers informed and entertained with coast-to-coast coverage across the U.S. and Canada. Listen to what you love from anywhere on the road with 24/7 ad-free music plus sports, news, talk, and comedy. Hear your favorites on every haul for just $6.06 a month. Sign up at SiriusXMFleet.com. Welcome to The Long Haul, the podcast dedicated to empowering small carriers and owner-operators to drive their business forward. I'm your host, Adam Wingfield, bringing you insights from industry leaders, real-world success stories, and strategies to help you navigate the road to profitability. Whether you're just getting started or looking to take your fleet to the next level, this is the show where trucking meets opportunity. So buckle up, it's time to go the distance. Welcome back, everybody, to an exciting episode of The Long Haul brought to you by Freightways Playbook. Man, I'm excited, as always excited, to come in and bring education to small carriers and owner-operators, intangible tools that they can use to be successful. Today, we're going back to the basics, though. I'm excited about today because we get to take the opportunity to talk about where it all starts, and it all starts in the wallet, is what I like to say. It starts in the wallet. So, joining me today, I'm excited to really kind of have a discussion with this young man who's had some adversity when it comes down to it, but is really boots on the ground when it comes to what it really means to really get that CDL and what that looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, today's guest, Avante Jackson. Avante, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Man, for folks who just might be discovering you, man, you got a massive YouTube channel. So there's a lot of people that know who you are. But for the folks that are just getting to know you, tell us a little about what got you into the trucking industry from the very beginning. Like, where did that come from?
Okay, well, like I said, thank you for having me. Number one. Number two, my family, we've been in the trucking industry for generations. This is actually a third generation from my grandfather to actually my stepdad. Um, you kind of not family, but you are family.
Yeah.
But he was in it, and I just kind of grew up around trucking. And then from the age of 5, my mother, still to this day, you can meet her and you can ask her yourself. She said that I would always say that I wanted to grow up, drive a truck, and sell fresh fish. I don't know where the fresh fish part came from, but I grew up driving a truck. My trucking career started in 2015. I was just trying to figure it out. I was 23
Yeah.
years old, just trying to figure it out. I didn't go to college, and got a career field in pharmaceuticals with CVS Pharmacy. Did that for 5 years. Went to school and for that part time, and then just realized that I just wanted freedom and just medicine I thought was going to be my passion because I love helping people. But then when it came to, physics and things of that nature,
Mhm.
that I quickly realized that that wasn't my path.
Mhm.
So I got into trucking.
And you drove over the road.
Yes, sir. 7 years over the road. Had a heart attack. In March of 2020, was found dead in my cab in West Monroe at a pilot. Another truck driver saved my life, saw me take my last breath, called the ambulance, they pulled me out. Um, and then got a pacemaker, took a year off, became a CDL instructor, and was still out trucking as well. I was trucking for a company called DM Bowman, running loads from Charlotte to Virginia overnight, and then going to the truck driving school in the morning. I did that for 2 years, and um, then after that, I had a heart transplant. Um, then after that, I got back out on the road recently with a company called Snyder. Did that for 2 months, 2 months and 5 days of OTR, and then just got back into the trucking school where I'm at now.
Man, I want to walk you back a little bit, Avante, and your story, just the fact that you're still here is something that's just a testament in itself. I want to walk back just about 45 seconds to when you mentioned that incident in Louisiana. You had a heart attack, and yeah, I mean, you're a
Yes,
young
sir.
man. I mean, you talk about 2015 is when you started in the industry, man. You had a heart attack quite young.
Yes, I did. I was born with the irregular heartbeat. And then just living the truck driver lifestyle. And then, I have to take accountability as far as myself, as well. Um, just not really taking care of myself, chasing the miles and things of that nature. And, it caught up with me. It really did. It caught up with me. And, you know, I had um I had pneumonia. Pneumonia on top of high blood pressure is what got me. Now the DOT medical staff, you have to get a
Yeah.
medical card.
Yeah.
They did do me a favor by telling me, I had high blood pressure, I needed to get it treated. But at that time, the money was good out there. This was before COVID. The money was good, and I was being hard headed, and
Mhm.
I paid the price at the end.
And man, we're glad that you're here. And you said that you had a pacemaker installed, then turned around and had a heart transplant, open heart transplant, not too long
Yes,
after
sir.
that.
Yes, sir. Yep, I had the pacemaker installed, and I was still trucking. I was still trucking with the pacemaker. DOT, it was fine and everything. But then what really stopped me, and this is actually a blessing from God, because I had got really, really sick later on down the line. I took a year off of trucking after I
Mm.
got my pacemaker put in, and I got healthy. I really did.
Mhm.
But I got diagnosed with something called congestive heart failure.
Mhm.
And congestive heart failure, for a little synopsis, it may look like you're getting better on the outside, but on the inside, is something that will deteriorate your body over
Mhm.
time. So I was running marathons. I ran two marathons. Well, I ran one half marathon in Charlotte. I ran another one in Matthews, North Carolina. Like, I had lost 42 pounds during that year, was doing great. And then I got to the truck driving school, put in a lot of hours there. And then I got into trucking at night, put in
Yeah.
hours there, and kind of gained some of the weight back. And then I
Yeah.
went into cardiac arrest.
Wow.
So then DOT, they was like, no,
Yeah.
you got the pacemaker, you're going into cardiac arrest. No. So I ran into a roadblock where I couldn't get a medical DOT card. And that was a blessing within itself, because that's when I found out that the whole left side of my heart was completely dead, no blood flow.
Mm.
And that's when they rushed me to the hospital and put me on the list to get a heart transplant.
Mm. So you was lucky that all of that kind of transpired in that time frame and things kind of happened. And then it
Yes,
and
sir.
it, and it kind of woke you up from a health standpoint, but then it also woke you up too, as well as it drove a different passion with you, and that's really on the education side. That's when it got to CDL training. I want to walk with you through the state of the current CDL training place. I came back from the old school. I got my CDL back in 2000. So I came back from the old gear shifting cab over doghouse CDL school. So things was a
Yes,
lot
sir.
different back then. From your experience, how would you describe the current state of CDL training? I know you're at a school right now, and you get to see a lot of different things. So from your experience now, how would you describe the current state of CDL training?
Okay, the current state of CDL training I will describe like this. It really falls on the FMCSA and the state guidelines, because at a lot of current CDL schools that I'm starting to see, you know, not the one that I'm at now, but ones that I've been at previous, and even just throughout the state of here in North Carolina. I got friends in this industry that own CDL schools and work at CDL schools as well. And I would say the current state is, it needs to be better. It needs to be more aware. You have CDL schools that are charging between $5,000 to $10,000 to teach you the bare minimum, and their excuse is, well, that's just what the state requires. When we talk about safety, you know, we really have to crack down on it, because the FMCSA is trying to crack down, but they're not cracking down on the states, which is not cracking down at the CDL schools, because you have some CDL schools that have lost credibility.
Yeah.
They have lost. I mean, you go and look at their equipment. You can investigate them. Look at their equipment. You have some CDL schools that tell you to practice on this truck to do a pre-trip, and you look at the steer tire, and the steer tire is terrible, and
Yeah.
they'll say, oh, just pretend it's not there,
Yeah.
or just pretend it's okay. And you look at the slack adjuster, and the slack adjuster's full of grease. And so how am I going to do a pre-trip on this truck? But it's okay because what their mindset is, man, we got between 50 to 100 starting every single Monday. We got stick shifts and we got automatics. We're not going to let somebody who don't even know if they want to stay in this industry or take it seriously practice on a brand new truck or on a good truck and grind my gears.
Yeah.
It's maintenance. They look at
Hmm.
it as far as maintenance. Um, and then you have, because in the state of North Carolina, you have to have 160 hours to graduate from CDL school. But you have a lot of CDL schools that I see that are cutting corners, that are filling the students' hours, that tell the student, oh, you don't need to come today, we're going to fill it in and things of that nature. And
Wow.
when I say the bare minimum, I'm talking about all the things that I talk about on YouTube, they don't teach. And I kind of took it upon myself to really kind of be not, I wouldn't say a beacon of light, but this is my passion. And I think when I was pronounced dead in Louisiana and another truck driver saved my life and brought me back to life, I owed it to myself to say, hey, this is my career, this is my passion. I've died for this industry. I get very offended when I see people get in it and play around.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these owners that have truck driving schools, I feel like they play around because they don't teach, about slack adjusting push rods or about, being mechanically inclined just a little bit. I'm not saying you got to go to a brake certification school or anything like
Sure.
that, but teach the driver more than the bare minimum. Um, there was one CDL school I went to, and I was labeled the crazy instructor because I was the only instructor here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area that would take the students through uptown Charlotte with a big 53-foot trailer. Because guess what? That happened to me when I first got my CDL. My first load was in downtown Miami at a food depot. Those roads was tight. Those roads was small. They were little. I had to
Hmm.
do a whole 90-degree angle while stopping traffic. I was scared. I was
Yeah.
nervous. Nobody taught me that. So I
Yeah.
took it upon myself to start teaching students, how to maneuver in tight situations. My trainer, once I got to the mega carrier company, my trainer taught me that. But then also I realized that the mega carriers are taking advantage as well.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, Adam, is there's one CDL school I worked at. I'm not going to say the name, but they had a contract with Swift. Swift comes in, sponsors the students. Swift will tell the people that own the CDL school, hey, don't worry about teaching them everything. Just get them their CDL. That's all I need you to do. We'll take it from there once they get their CDL. They go to school, they get their CDL, they get taught the bare minimum. They go to Swift. 9 times out of 10, you're getting stuck with a trainer that you don't like. And then a lot of these trainers out here have only been driving for 6 months,
Hmm.
some maybe a year. A lot of things that we're having, a lot of problems we're having in the industry now is you have people that are training that either A, shouldn't be training, or B, doing it for the money. Because yes, you're supposed to test out, once you leave your trainer's truck. But I've run into people out on the road because I still drive a truck, like I said, for Snyder just a few weeks ago, OTR. You'll still have people that don't know how to back.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, how did you pass CDL school? How did you go to this mega carrier, go through their training process, get your own truck, upgrade, get your own truck, and you don't know how to back? So that's one of the issues that's going on out here. And at the time when I really started teaching and I really, really found my passion was when DOT told me that I couldn't get a medical card and I was waiting for a heart transplant. And I just got on YouTube and just started pointing things out that need to be taught. And that's when a lot of people started gravitating towards me. And I can honestly say it's nothing but God, because there's truck driving schools, Adam, that won't even teach you how to chain.
Oh, I know.
Or if yeah, I actually got crucified at one truck driving school I worked at because I wanted to teach people how to chain, and the owner was fine with it. He was okay with it. He said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you can do it." But the other instructors were like, "No, I've been trucking for 40, 30 years. I've never chained. I'm not doing that. That's too much." And then the owner was just like, "Okay, well, if they don't want to do it, then you can still do it." And I have a video on YouTube teaching, but I was the only one that was doing it, willing to go above and beyond. So, I just see a lack of education out here. It really falls on FMCSA, which should come down harder on the states. Um, and then you have a lot of CDL schools that have grants like WIOA here in North Carolina, and then you got Goodwill and things of that nature that people do take advantage of that will pay $5,000 to $10,000. But like I said, the equipment is crap at the CDL schools. They're not really teaching nothing. And then after all of that, Adam, you graduate CDL school, you feel like you're going to change your life. You you start your career, and then you only bring home between $700 to $900 a week, and you
Yeah.
paid $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth.
So between the lack of education and the lack of pay, it's really gotten bad, and I've really tried to take pride in teaching.
And you do a really good job when it comes down to it. I see a lot of you're a technician when it comes down to technical components. And one of the things that I come from the old school, so crucify me if you want, but I'm from the old school. And when we was in truck driving training school, I mean, we're not asking you to be a mechanic, but you need to be mechanically inclined. You need to be able to
Yes,
handle these small things that happen out there on the roadside to keep the wheels turning. Can't call roadside for every single thing that happens. You got to be able to be
yes,
functional when
sir.
it comes to being out there. And I think that was one of the biggest things that became missing as things became much more automatic and as things became much more simpler. They've really reduced that to really push more drivers behind the wheel. And you've seen the video, and I'm sure that this video is populating up here now of the gentleman down in Dallas during COVID when he was outside of the truck,
Yes,
back in the truck, standing on the side of the truck, and they were just
yeah,
cheering and cheering it on. And I'm like, what are we doing? What has this industry
right,
become? Right?
right,
We're playing around with an
right.
80,000 pound piece of steel. And what we're doing is we're lowering the standards and we're acceptably lowering
Yes,
standards. And that's the thing that when I came across your channel and I saw what you're putting out, I was like, man, you give the real talk about what that CDL process looks like because it's not a game. This is, there are people that lose their lives every day as a result of whether it's the decision being made, whether it's a miscalculation on something that they lose their life on. And I definitely wanted to make sure that we talked about that. So if you could change one thing, and if you think about the things that you could change, if you could just wave a magic wand, change one thing about CDL training nationwide, what would it be? One thing.
it, one thing, um, I would say stricter training. Stricter training. There's a lot of lackadaisy training going on out here. You know, stricter training. That would be the one thing that I would change because I see a lot of lackadaisy, just fly by night, do the bare minimum, and that's one of the things that really fired me up to make my own channel, and really get my voice heard out there. Because man, when it comes to teaching someone how to drive a manual truck, you know,
Yeah.
as well as I know,
Yeah.
that's one of the hardest things that you could ever do.
Man, it separates the adults from the kids, though, man. It's the real from
It
the fake gets
does.
separated real quick.
It does. It does. And I've seen a lot of people, instructors, not to throw anybody under the bus, but like I said, I have a passion for what I do. But I've seen a lot of trainers teach the bare minimum, get frustrated, don't have patience with the student, and then switch them automatically to automatic.
Mm,
Not telling the student, and this is on the CDL schools as well, not telling the student that guess what? You're going to have a automatic restriction on your license.
mm,
If you find a company that you want to go to, that's a mom and pop company that you want to go to, that's going to pay you well, And guess what? It's right down the street from your house, and you're gonna be home every night with your family. But guess what? They got manual trucks.
Mhm.
Now you got to come back to that CDL school, and it's not half price either, Adam. You're gonna have to
Mm.
pay what you paid the first time.
That's crazy, man. That
That's
is
highway
crazy.
robbery,
That's
and that's
crazy.
one of the things that's going on out here as well.
That's
CDL
crazy.
schools taking advantage of students because guess what? I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, 6 months to a year after that student graduates, I've had it happen. I've had students call me and ask me, how can they get in a manual truck? And the CDL school charged them double. They charged them the first time
And
and
they
they
turn around and
charged them
charge them again.
again. Yes, sir.
So what should a
So that's
student
what I would change.
what should a student like new drivers for those that are listening to this podcast today, maybe be interested in getting their CDLs and they're vetting out a couple of CDL schools and wanting to see, hey, who's who and what's what. What should a student that's interested, what should you be demanding from a school? What should you expect to see from a school before you even sign up and send the money to the school?
Very, very good question. First, you want to give them a call, or you can go to the school yourself, and you want to look for the politeness.
Mm-hmm.
You want to look for cleanliness. You want to go and look at their yard because you can vet them. Go and ask them if you can see their yard, see their equipment. 9 times out of 10, if their yard is dirty, and a lot of CDL schools practice on dirt lots and gravel, which is totally fine because man, hey, look, once you do a 90 on a gravel lot 10,000 times, trust me, you're gonna be thankful because it's gonna save money on those tires
Yeah.
versus a asphalt lot
Yeah.
or a concrete lot. So the lot being dusty, that's fine, but I'm talking about trash. I'm talking about how's the maintenance on the trucks? Do they clean their trucks out? Do they always keep fuel on hand? Things of that nature. And then also, you want to talk to the instructors. Are they rude? Are they short with you? Check
Mm-hmm.
their patience. And this is all before you give them your money, because you want to make sure that guess what? Are they going to be able to spend time with you? A lot of people go to CDL school, and I've seen this happen a lot of times. Backing will break your brain. It will literally, you think you can back a truck and a trailer, but everything is opposite. So, what I mean by break your brain is it'll have you over in the corner trying to figure stuff out. And you need a CDL instructor that
Yeah.
is going to take patience with you,
Yeah.
is going to coach you through it, not yell at you, not get frustrated with you, but coach you through it and check on you and be a friend. We've gotten away from being friends to people or being helpful.
Yeah.
Everything's about money, 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 and time, time,
Transactional.
time. When can I go home? What time I need to get off work?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
One CDL school I was with, I actually got in trouble because I was clocking out because they didn't really play about overtime. So I would clock out and still be at work trying to help the students, and they got upset with me because they thought that I was trying to steal time, and I'm like, how am I trying to steal time when I'm not even on the clock? So then they turned it into, well, you're out there helping a female student 101. It could turn into like a sexual thing, like if she says something or something like that. So I kind of understood that part of it, but that's not what it was about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one of the instructors that that wasn't even a manager, he was an instructor just like me, but he said they signed up to be here from 7 to 4. That's all they paid for. And I felt like that was a slap in my face and a slap in the student's face because I'm like, well, wait a minute. What if they need a little bit more time after 4?
Yeah.
You telling me that they can't?
Yeah.
So I've had that happen too. So, just those are a few tips that they can, check out. There's a YouTuber named V Lee that had put out a video about a year ago about one truck driving school she went to in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And it is terrible. The doors was falling off,
Mm.
tread was coming off of the pre-trip trucks. You know, it was
Mm.
bad. And a lot of things that are happening out on the road when you want to talk about safety
Yeah.
starts from
Starts right
there.
there.
It
Starts
starts
right
from
there.
right here.
Mm-hmm.
We are the first basis to these students coming into trucking.
That's right.
So if we can't even fix the the footprint to start, if we can't even get them to start off right, how you think their career is going to be?
I mean, you're exactly right, and I think that leads me into my next question. Just so you know, because you're out there, you're seeing it every day. How are you seeing the industry itself shift over the last few years when it came to just entry level drivers? And the reason why I say that because like when I was going through CDL school, late '90s, early 2000s, it was much more intensive. You 3-4 weeks, and you're in it. Then you got 2 weeks over the road, obviously to test out. So you got that component of it. But then, you had to, like I said, there was some mechanical inclination there. There's also you got to learn how to, be able to pilot a manual transmission, which, is a skill thing, right? It's not necessarily a thing that, hey, we're advancing in technology, but it's a skill, it's a control mechanism that's in piece. Like you said, it requires you that. But then you fast forward to 2021, 2022, 2023, recently, and all of a sudden you see that there's a flood of drivers that are into the
Yeah.
market. What have you seen, in the school? How have you seen the industry itself shift?
I've seen the industry shift because with the flood of drivers, that's cool. But with the flood of drivers that all they do is throw them in automatics, it's not hard to teach somebody how to drive an automatic.
Yeah, no,
This
you're
is
right about
literally
that.
what
You're right about that.
CDL schools teach us to do, and I myself as well. Now I start incorporating some other things, and I'll go into that in a minute. But in order to drive an automatic truck, you just got to make sure they stay center, they're watching the mirrors and their turns. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
and you have some instructors that will just tell them to watch the trailer tires on their turns. But I take them to what we call a business park. We call it a playground, but a business park. I take them to a business park that I make sure it's got a lot of curves. And what I mean by
hmm
business park is
yeah.
somewhere that's industrial.
Industrial, yeah,
Yeah. And I make sure it's got a lot of curves. And I actually I pull the truck up to the curve where they're about to turn, and I stop the truck and we turn it off, and I have my class get out the truck. And guess what? We're going to dissect this turn, and we're going to dissect on how I want you to turn, when I want you to turn. And I don't want you to just sit there and nod your head. I want you to walk with me, and I want you to show me what I just said about turning when the curve is breaking. That's when you want to watch your trailer wheels in that convex mirror, and you want your trailer wheels to turn with that curve, keeping at least a foot or two of space, because you don't want a little motorcycle or a moped to
yeah,
get in
yep,
between you, because that's a death, that's an accident right there,
yeah.
you know? So things of that nature. But an automatic, that's it. So I've seen the growth of accidents come from a lot of automatic drivers. Now, the good thing about a manual is a manual gonna keep you on your toes.
All the time.
Okay, if you know that you're carrying a load that's 45,000 pounds and you got a turn coming up, you're supposed to break that transmission all the way down to sixth gear. Sixth gear is a safe gear. That's 15 miles an hour because five plus one is six. Guess what? You can turn that curve of 45,000 pounds in 15 miles an hour, nice and slow. In an automatic, you hit that brake ain't gonna do nothing but drop you down to about 20, 25, depending on how fast you're going. And guess what they do? Whoop, they whip
Mhm,
right around that curve.
mhm,
But a manual will keep you on your toes.
mhm,
And see, I'm the type of instructor, I want you to break it down. I want you to go from 10 to 9, 9 to 8, 8 to 7, 7 to 6. And then guess what? If I see you really good, I want you to flip that switch and I want you to go down to 5.
mhm, mhm.
And that makes a better driver that's aware. And I don't think that the industry really thought that when they made the driver more laxy-daisy and came out with these automatics. I know they did it to save fuel, save money, and all that, but they made the driver's job easier. But I don't think the industry thought that it would be this many accidents around automatic trucks. But you have people, and it's not the people's fault. I want to make that clear. It's not the people's fault because they want a job and they want to better their lives at the end of the day. But you have people that just worked at McDonald's last week that got on social media and saw another trucker with a pocket full of money and thought they can come out here and do the same thing. And a lot of them don't take it serious.
Yeah, 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 and it's unfortunate too because, and like I said, it's the industry itself, the job itself is I say it's the most dangerous job in America. You know, statistics
Yes, sir.
may position it, you know, somewhere up and down the top 5 or top 10, but just between battling fatigue, between the motoring public, between the things that can happen outside of the truck, there's so many components that go down into, you know, not even just getting killed. I mean, it's just work side accidents and just being accidents just happening while you're out there on a dock. There's so many things that can absolutely happen. And what you hear now is you see a narrative that's pushed driver shortages, driver shortages, driver shortages, and what those driver shortages narratives do is they put more demand on folks like you to, hey man, I got a class now that your Monday class had 20 in it last week, but next week we're gonna have 40 in it next week. You know, so that's
Mhm.
the thing that, you know, obviously that's a bigger strain. Do you think the problem is, and I mean, obviously we all know the answer to this, but do you think the problem is really the shortage or is it the quality? I had
It's
to
the
ask the
quality.
question.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's the quality. It's the quality because I've been at a truck driver school teaching. I've worked for three of them so far. I've been teaching since 2021, right? Since 2021, one school that I've been at, they get a class between 10 to 15 students monthly. Another school that I've been at here in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is considered a big trucking school, they get a class between 8 to, let's say, 14 or 15 every single Monday.
Wow.
And
Mm.
then a school that and then my last school was a smaller school, but they still held a class to about 4 to 5. I mean, not 4 to 5, 4 to 8 um, every 2 weeks. And I'm talking about these are people that are graduating. And if
Mm.
they fail, guess what? They can wait 48 hours, come back and take the test again.
Mhm.
But these are students from 2021 to now that's been graduating, if not every week, every single month. Graduating, graduating, graduating. So my question is, how is it a trucker shortage, right? When you have the influx
Yeah.
of new drivers coming in from CDL schools here in America, and not just here in Charlotte. You got them in Atlanta. There's a CDL school everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Um, yeah, there's even a CDL school I think in West Virginia that has a 7-day course, but they're really like a refresher type course.
Mm.
But it's the quality number one. But my other question is, does the industry even want quality anymore? And the reason why I say that because think about driver pay. Driver pay for the last few years have been at an all-time low. So if I do my due diligence as an instructor and I train a student and I have them top notch, ready to go, mechanically a little bit mechanically inclined, can break down a manual transmission, all of that, but then they go to a company for a year and they only brought home $30,000. That a man that's driving a truck that has a family of one or a family of two can't support a family like that on $30,000.
No, no, and that's crazy you say that because here's the thing, and I know where you're going, and I want to help bring another side to that.
Yes,
The
sir.
the biggest thing behind that is that when you think about the job of a truck driver, right? It's it can be entry level, and it as a job, it can be entry level and advanced at the exact same time. And the reason why I say
I
that
agree.
is because I can get into, you know, when I was trained, you know, able to train manual, you know, flatbed, securement, the whole nine. I came in, I was making 24 cents a mile. But at the
Yes,
same time, I'm entry level, but I'm also the same driver that 5, 10 years down the road, my skill set hasn't changed. It's just the time that I've spent behind the wheel has.
Yes, sir.
So that's one of the things that makes it so difficult because, as you know, and I know, what does upward mobility for a driver look like? You go from truck driver, then what? Owner operator, you're still a driver. You go from owner operator,
Mhm.
fleet owner. Okay, now I'm outside the truck. But when you think about the upward mobility within the industry, it's not much open mobility, and I think that that's what makes it when you have that much that much capacity driving in. When you talk about overall driver capacity, I mean drivers going in, there's really nothing that really separates them, especially to your point where, hey, they're mostly automatic drivers now. What separates them to where they can go into more of a highly skilled, or is there any highly skilled positions out there?
You know what? I agree with you on that. And to be honest with you, I never really kind of looked at it from that angle. But I would say even to that angle, at least because I came in at entry level as well as too. But going back to them pushing the narrative, it's a driver shortage.
Hmm.
At least at least let me feel like you love me. At least let me feel like I'm a trucker.
Right. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, I tell you this, Adam. I went to after I got my heart transplant, I went to Snyder. I got back on the road for like I said, 2 months and 5 days. Before I came to this truck driving school that I'm at now. Got back on the road because I wanted to prove to myself that hey, I still can do it. I still
Still
can be an
got it.
OTR trucker. I missed it and I love it, and trucking is my passion. Got back out there, mind you, 7 years OTR previous.
Hmm.
Insurance company don't respect that I'm a veteran because now what's happening is they're turning a lot of veterans down. And what I mean by that is insurance companies will sit there and say, yeah, we love the fact that you got 7 years, but if you took a break for any reason and
Yeah.
you haven't drove within the last 3 months or the last 2 years,
Mhm.
then guess what? You got to start down at the bottom. I felt like that was a slap in my face, but okay,
Yeah.
whatever. I want to get back into trucking. Okay, cool. Go to Snyder. They offer me 46 cents a mile. First load picked up in Charlotte, North Carolina, delivered in West Branch, Iowa, which is about 20 minutes away from I-80 truck stop, Wilcott, Iowa. Pick that load up Monday morning or Monday at 12 o'clock noon. Deliver that load at 4 o'clock the next day. I was not playing. I like to get it there, drop it off, get off my back, right? Left there, went to Joliet, whatever it's called, Illinois, picked up a load, dropped that off in McDonough, Georgia. Left McDonough, Georgia, picked up a load there, shot straight back up to Charlotte, North Carolina for home time. My check as a company driver that's got 7 years of previous OTR driving experience, my check was 1,070, Adam.
Mm, mm, mm.
How is that showing me as a veteran appreciation? I know the industry is bad. I know the market is bad. I understand that. But Snyder's one of the biggest out there, number one. Number two, you can't sit there and tell me that the industry is that bad when y'all got all these terminals. I haven't seen not one terminal closed yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just bought Cowan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I know they had a nuclear verdict last year that they had to pay out. I think it was like 40 million or some crazy number they got hit with. Okay, I understand that, but don't sit up there and tell me it's a driver shortage when y'all not paying anyway.
And I think that, there is no shortage of drivers. I think, to your point, the shortage of quality, the shortage of professionalism in this profession. I think that,
Yes,
when
sir.
you look at it all the way across the board, when I was growing up, and I know you come from a family of truckers, when I was growing up, truck drivers were the knights of the roads. People actually looked up to truck driving as an honorable profession. And not so much anymore. Not so much anymore. And I think that, when you pour on so many and just throw so many at them, I think it kind of dilutes the overall profession behind it. And I think that we've seen that over the last several years. And then, like I said, man, when I watched that one video that went viral about the instructor, and I'm like, man, that's where we are at the industry. That's it's sad to see.
Yes.
So you got on YouTube, and you went from one follower to 50,000 plus followers on YouTube. And that was just you just taking a phone out, filming out organic content. What has been the most rewarding part about teaching drivers, or what you're doing. What's been the most rewarding part of what you're doing with your YouTube?
The most rewarding part, Adam, I would say would just be just people coming up to me telling me that I taught them something,
Hmm.
or people coming up to me. I meet them. Like, I just dropped a video a few days ago where I just randomly just drove up to a truck stop and I really wanted to teach somebody something. And I found this guy and he don't know who I am from a can of paint. But when I left him, for him to say, "Wow, I didn't even know they only been driving 7 months," and I always ask them, "Do you have aspirations to be an owner operator?" A lot of them, 9 times out of 10, say yes. And I say, "Well, can I show you something?" And a lot of them say yes. And when I leave them, they say, "Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you." That's what I do it for. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for clout. I don't do it for
Yeah.
anything because when I went through my heart transplant, right, and I didn't know if I was going to make it out the hospital or not. One thing you always want to know is, did you leave your mark on this earth, on this world, on this earth? Your last name is more better and holds more beneficial than gold, than money itself. So when I die, do I want people to look at me and say, "Oh, that was a bad guy"? Or do I want people to look at me and say, "Man, that was a good guy. That guy took time out to teach me something"? Also, another reason why I do it is because when I first got in the game, a lot of old guys taught me, a lot of veterans taught me.
Yeah.
So all I'm doing is just passing it
Return the
down.
favor. Yeah, there you go.
That's all I'm doing. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't want nothing in return. And I've never told nobody this before, Adam. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. A lot of stuff, like you've seen my content, right?
Hmm.
A lot of the tools that I use in my content or apparel that I wear, like my hats and stuff, I'll not only, if I have like a person that I'm teaching something in my video, I not only will buy them a drink or snack or something for their time, I'll give them the tool that I'm using or the hat that's on my
Yeah.
head or something
Yeah.
to tell them, "Hey, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. And I always want you to remember this." And it got so bad because I wasn't working a lot when I made a lot of my videos, my core videos. I really wasn't working. I was actually on the heart transplant list. I was out the hospital, but I was on the list. I was scared. I was
Yeah.
scared. I didn't know where
Of
my life
course.
was going, and I just wanted to put out information. And my wife would tell you this. My wife got pissed at me because I'm doing this out the bottom of my heart and the kindness of my heart. But also, I'm giving away stuff. So my wife was like, "Babe, I'm happy that you met this person and you taught them something, but stop giving away shit. You ain't got no
Yeah.
money right now."
We got food to put on the table.
Yeah, she got upset with me. She got
Yeah.
upset with me, but that's just me, Adam. I'm a giver. I'm
Yeah.
a giver.
Yeah.
I love to give, whether it's knowledge, whether it's the shirt on my back or whatnot. I love to give, and that's what really fueled me and fired me to do what I do.
And we love to see it. You got a really real talk side. One thing is you're very direct, you're a real talk person, which is it's one of those things where I think people as a whole, I think society as a whole is missing. We become along the way, we've softened up a little bit, especially when you have people that are trying to educate. Education has never been easy. Education has never been one of those things that should be simply handed down. You got to go through some things, and sometimes it's emotional challenge and garbage that go with that. So I think that that's really, really unique. And your approach and your methods has really garnered you the results. You got people that trust you, and you never take that community, lightly. And that's something that I always just implore people, that when you grow a community like that, never take it lightly. Let people trust you and trust the information and trust your voice and how you're going about. So what's one message that you try to drive home with every piece of content, no matter if you was running a video right now, just right now, what's that one message that you try to drive home, and make sure you drive home on every piece of content that you do?
Be knowledgeable on this industry.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people, if you're going to be in this industry, be in it. Don't
There
be
you go.
scared of it. There's a lot of dispatchers, there's a lot of brokers, there's a lot of people that are not drivers. And guess what? That's fine. I'm not saying you have to be a driver,
Right.
but guess what? At least go to CDL school, see what we go through for a month or two, just
Yeah.
a month or two.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of people that say, "Well, I've driven with my husband, or I've driven, or I've rode with my wife, or my son or daughter, things of that nature." And that's okay. It's nice that you got out here and rode, but you're not held to the same accountability that we are when we get behind this wheel and
That's
we
right.
hold this wheel for 11 hours in a day. We drive in 11 hours in a day. It comes with a different type of responsibility. And honestly, Adam, I think that if people took that advice, this industry would be much more better because you have people in these companies that have degrees, not in trucking, just computer communications or logistics and whatnot, that have some of the most rudest attitude toward drivers, don't understand drivers, don't want to give drivers their home
Hmm.
times.
Hmm.
If a driver wants to take home time, well, why are you doing this? You just came.
Yeah.
But if you get out here and see what the driver is going through, if you took a shower at a truck stop,
Yeah.
just one shower at a truck stop.
Yeah.
And look, Adam, it got to be a good nasty truck stop
Yeah.
too. It got to be
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just to really feel what the driver goes through.
Hmm.
So my thing is, be a part of the industry. Be really in this, because I've been a dispatcher before. I'm learning how to be a broker now. Like, I want to do all facets of trucking. I want to be a logistics coordinator. I want to be a mechanic. I want to do everything because I want to be well versed
That's right.
in my craft. I want to master my craft.
That's right.
But the driver comes first. At the end of the day, the driver comes first. None of this works without the driver.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I think that, and as we wrap up, I think that the overarching message that I really wanted to have the conversation about was the fact that that's where it all starts, and you wrapped it up right, just beautifully at the end. The driver comes first. Without that wallet, without that card in the wallet, none of this thing would take place. Nothing would happen. It's so important, and that's why I want to see the industry taken more seriously from an educational standpoint, all the way across the board, from education at the top and how things work, the components of it, whether it's how to establish the business, all the way down to how to drive a truck. It all needs to matter
Yes,
because
sir.
it's all important, because it all ties into safety. It all ties into how you do business, and it all ties into ultimately for success. So I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're still on site and you're right in the middle of it right now, and I appreciate you doing that. If folks wanted to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? Or if folks want to connect, follow you, see your content, how would folks be able to follow your content?
Oh, well, thank you, Adam. On YouTube, I am CDL Shorty, SHORTY. Um, on Instagram, I am V as in Victor Jackson 24 or 28. I'm sorry. Um, and then I have my own website, which is cdlshorty.com, where I have like a training mentorship, but I don't really push that a lot because, we live in the age of courses
Yeah,
and things like that. And
yeah,
I'm not one of those people. When I say mentorship,
yeah.
I'm your friend for life, meaning
Mhm.
I come out with you. I inspect the truck with you. We're going to check the oil. We're going to check the timing belt. We're going to look at the tires. We're going to look at the brake pad, all that together.
Yeah,
If you break down close to Charlotte or something like that, I'm getting out of my bed 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, coming to see
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Like I said, we need to get back to that friendly helping people instead of always wanting something from someone. So, those are how you can contact me. You can DM me, email me at ajavjackson89.com or at gmail.com. And anything you want to ask me, you can ask me. I always, if I don't reach back out to you or get in contact with you the first day, give me a day or two and I promise I'll get back to you.
well, we appreciate that, and hopefully, the folks that joined this call really felt the passion and the importance of getting back to the basic, behind the safety piece of it. And if you're thinking about getting your CDL, or if you know anybody that was thinking about that process, send them this, like, share, subscribe to this, send this out to them. Make sure they take a listen to it. Avante dropped some tremendous jewels on this in terms of getting out here and doing it the right way, most importantly. So we appreciate you all spending the time out with us on the long haul today. Thanks to our sponsor, SiriusXM Radio. We're excited as we continue to grow. Again, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe to send this out. Make sure that enough people get the opportunity to listen to these long haul podcasts, so that way they can learn and that they can be educated. Once again, Avante, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you taking the time out. And to our audience and listeners, thank you for joining us on the long haul again. Keep it between the lines. See you on the next one.